What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be checking out Gamerfinger's Optical PCB for your Sanwa JLF. Now, the Gamerfinger Optical PCB claims to feature more precise inputs due to the optical sensors, silent operation, and longer life than a traditional PCB due to no physical wear and tear. So the story goes, Sanwa manufactured an OEM optical PCB. However, it got discontinued after they discovered they were losing profits from arcade vendors and their most replaced part, the standard TPMA PCB. So along with the PCB, you're going to get 3 additional items. The first one is going to be the support ring that this guy's supposed to sit underneath for additional stability. You're going to get this gold ring, this gold O-ring that installs underneath the E-clip of the shaft, and that's going to give you a little bit more tension. And then there is this guy, which is a 5-pin to 6-pin converter. Alright, so I have my stick open right now, and you'll see I have the traditional PCB in there. Now, to remove this, you have to remove the gate. There's 4 little plastic tabs on a Sanwa JLF. All you have to do is apply pressure to the little tabs on each side, and this guy should just pop right out, just like this. Okay, so now that it's loose, right, I'm going to set this aside right over here. Here is the PCB. Now I'm going to slowly remove it, and here's actually a good example of this. You see this little, it's hard to tell on the webcam, but you see there's a little bit of this gunk buildup, right? And that's what can actually ruin your stick over time. You get all these little dust particles in there, and they start to enter every time you press the switches, and they can eventually ruin the switch. So that's one of the things that will make this eventually fail. You're going to unplug the harness, right? And this guy is going to be set aside. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is install this rubber support pad to add stability. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is pop in the PCB, and please note to put it exactly the way your old one was installed. Now, the next thing we're going to do is reinstall the gate. Okay, and it's as simple as that. All right, you need to connect this adapter, and please take note that the adapter over here, it should match up. So black is ground right over here, guys. So I would literally just line it up with the same ground cable and plug it right into this traditional harness. Now, this should fit right into here. Alright, and which it does. Boom. So that's connected. And I do have to route this red cable, remember this is the VCC, to my Brook board, and I have an extra screw terminal right over here, and it's going to be labeled VCC. It's hard to see again, sorry guys, but that little point right there, this first screw, that's a VCC, and that's basically 5 volts of power. Okay, so I have the cable installed. I'm just gonna tuck it right under here so it doesn't get in the way. Alright guys, so the next thing you need to do is remove the E-clip off the JLF shaft and install the gold ring to add a little bit more tension. So let's do that. Now this adds a little bit more space between the E-clip, and it should add a little bit of tension to the stick. The reason why this needs to get installed is because the switches on a traditional JLF actually adds a little bit of tension. Now with no switches being there, it loses tension, so it's going to feel a little less springy. Now you'll see this guy is installed. The actuator is not actually touching anything anymore, it's just bouncing around on the gate. Alright guys, so I've been testing this out for a couple minutes in training mode, Street Fighter V. This is my main character, Chun-Li. I'm pretty dialed in with my muscle memory for this particular character, so I can get a good idea of how this is performing. First of all, the physical difference is the most dramatic thing that you're going to need to basically adjust for. What I mean by that is that instead of the joystick hitting the actuators on the traditional PCB, you're actually not hitting anything. You just kind of, the stick's basically just hitting the gate. So you're going to hear this thud instead of that audible click that you're used to. So that's a little bit of an adjustment. It could be a good adjustment if you're looking for a more quieter stick, but it is an adjustment. I don't have that physical feel of the switch going off anymore. The one thing I also notice is that the radius of the corner is a lot sharper. I think it actuates a little bit sooner than a traditional JLF. Maybe it's because I'm not physically hitting that switch anymore. So I noticed that, like I'm pressing back right now, but if I, slightly go just a little to the corner, a little bit sooner than I'm used to, it's actually inputting the corner a lot faster. So the diagonals are inputted, I guess the range of the diagonal is a little bit bigger. That could help for me doing air legs in the air. That definitely helps that. As far as muscle memory goes for combos, no big difference on that end. I don't really feel any difference on that. So the two biggest takeaways for me are the physical feel of the stick and the corner being a little bit more, having a wider input. So I do have to adjust for that. So you almost immediately go to down back or the corner a little bit faster than a traditional JLF. So now that it's installed into my fight stick and I've kind of put it through its paces, I can give you my general takeaways. The first thing is going to be the cost factor. Now, the Gamerfinger PCB costs about $30 US, and a traditional replacement PCB for your JLF costs about $10, like I was saying before. Now, what makes this interesting is that Gamerfinger is claiming that the optical PCB will last you 10 years. Now, in my daily driver fight sticks, I usually have to replace the PCB, I'd say close to 2 years, right? So if you factor that in, eventually this optical PCB will save you money over time. And that's if nothing else fails, right? So hopefully that is true. Now, the second thing to consider is that the installation does require a little bit of know-how. So you do have to know how to solder. If you're installing it into a fight stick that does not have like a brick board where you can just simply plug in the red 5-volt cable into the VCC screw terminal. So consider that if you are a novice with modding your sticks. All right, and the last thing, which honestly I think is kind of nominal, is the feel of the stick. It's a little bit different to get used to. There are no micro switches to feel anymore, so you basically just get the thud of the gate like you heard when I was playing earlier, and it is precise. The corners do actuate really quick for me, and that's just because all the switches actuate really quick for me, so it's a little bit of adjustment. Now, if you have a couple sticks and you get used to this, it could mean that you're going to be out of whack when you're playing with other sticks, so consider that as well. Other than that, I think it's a pretty awesome product. The price point's perfect. It installs pretty quick if you know how to do it, and I'm probably going to be using this in my daily driver going forward. Alright guys, so this has been the Gamerfinger optical PCB for your Sanwa JLF review. This is jonyfraze. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll